a sign there that said severely poisonous snakes and insects.
What?
Poisonous snakes and insects.
Where?
What is that?
In the Walmart?
Oh. Wild poisonous.
What's so? What are you? Just don't throw it out here by me. Throw it out. Thanks. Appreciate that.
It's dead. So we've been traveling now where we first originally said a couple weeks. Right now we're up to like 40 days, I think, or somewhere around there. And we left Oregon, that rainy state, and headed down south into California.
Yeah, so the first town we stopped at was very northern part of California called Crescent City, and it's kind of a fishing port. They bring in a lot of fish there, and we stayed in what we thought was kind of a ghetto RV park, but they had availability, and it was literally right next to the ocean.
Yeah, so we pulled into this place. We were just looking for a place to walk the dogs on the beach, and we're like, that's an RV park, and there's like a bunch of open spots. Why don't we just call up them and see what we can get, because it'd be literally falling out of bed onto the beach, and that'd be really good to take the dogs for walks along the beach since we have some water dogs.
Yeah, at least one water dog.
At least one water dog.
Yeah, so that was really cool. We spent a lot of time on the beach there, and we had some actually pretty good food in some of the restaurants there. And it's a pretty small town, but it was a good stopover for sure.
Yeah, and then the next day we woke up and we went to a place that was about 15 miles away in the redwoods called Mystery Forest. The Tree's a Mystery. Never been here before, never even heard of it before, but there's Paul Bunyan and his blue ox. You've all heard the story.
What does that mean, still sound? It's still growing? Fallen giant?
Let's see if this gives you some kind of perspective. I think we're up about 100 feet at least. Here she goes again on another one. I would recommend you guys come out and check this out. It's pretty cool. Never heard of it. The Sky Trail. The Sky Trail. So we're up probably 50 feet in the redwoods. You look down. These trees are just enormous. And now we're gonna walk around up on a bridge. Oh, it's one of those wobbly bridges. Even better.
No jumping, Doug.
You first.
And no running.
Not that I'm scared, but if she falls, I can reach my arm out and catch her. Forest of Mystery or
Trees of Mystery.
Trees of Mystery, something like that.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of cool things there to do. I think it was worth our $20. We were able to go up into the tree canopy on these suspension bridges. There's a lot of like fables that were carved in. And I actually think the Native American museum that they had in the lobby was probably worth the $20 itself.
Totally.
They went into all the different areas that the Native Americans come from, and each one had its own museum. So
it was really, really cool. The museum was awesome, and yeah, it's a self-guided walking tour. And this place has been there for, I think, over 100 years.
Since the 1940s, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it might have even been older than that, but it was all based on Paul Bunyan and his tall tales. And so they had some amazing carved wood and just some really cool trees. And it's the redwood trees, so, you know, they're huge and beautiful. It was really neat walking through there. They had a really neat garden kind of when you first went in that you could walk through, and it was just absolutely beautiful and nice and cool too.
Yeah, so our journey on this vacation was to basically hit the West Coast and drive all along the ocean. So in California, there are literally dozens of state park beaches, and all of them are full. So when we went driving out, we got out late, like 4 o'clock, and we're like, we'll just write down the names of these parks and we'll just hit them one at a time and hope that there's an opening. Well, after about the third one of going in and seeing that they were absolutely packed, we were like, well, it's getting like 6 o'clock. We need to find a place to crash or we're going to be driving all night long, right? So we looked at the map and we're like, there's a somewhat decent sized city right here.
So we decided to drive inland because all along the northern coast of California, the towns that are all throughout there are pretty small, and some don't have any hotels at all. So we decided to drive inland and see what kind of hotel we could find kind of last minute.
Yeah, so we were driving down this backwoods road. I mean, it was very narrow, and it was in the redwoods, actually. We kind of were surprised that we were driving through redwoods, super dark and everything, sunlight breaking through like openings in the canopy. And Carrie had noticed off to the side a couple empty parking spots, and then we saw a sign that said State Park. And so we did a beeline into there, and we were kind of surprised that nobody was there, and we thought it was closed.
Yeah, so this was, I believe, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and this park that we stayed at is one of California's what they call a dry park, and they don't take reservations for these parks. They're first come, first serve. So because we were getting there midweek, it wasn't filled up yet. When we drove back in there, we actually thought maybe the park was completely closed, but we saw some other people camping in there, and so we're like, okay, we can find a site. It was really easy. Most of them were open, so we were able to get in there. It's hard to get into California state parks. The reservations are totally booked out, so we were very fortunate. And when we left the next day to go get groceries, when we came back, we actually had a hard time finding it. And we were laughing because there was no cell service there, zero cell service, zero anything. Like couldn't call anybody, couldn't text anybody, and so it was kind of hard to find our way back in.
But it turned out being my favorite top 3
Mine too.
Campsite out of the 40 some places we've been. Well, it hasn't been that many, maybe like 20 some places, but it was one of my favorite. You were in the redwoods. It was nice and dark, nice and cool, and there was some humidity in the air. We were able to have a fire and do some s'mores and all that good stuff, and it was a nice level parking spot and everything. Yeah,
it was really pretty, and I think Doug had gone, they had one set of bathrooms open, and his comment when he came back from the bathrooms is it looked like somebody had been murdered in there.
Probably.
So we pretty much avoided the bathroom. We just used our RV, and it was nice. It was so quiet and just really peaceful.
Yeah, so we left there and we went down the coast, and it took us a couple days to get down there. We stayed at a few places, very uneventful. I mean, there's a lot of places we stayed that we didn't film for you guys. We're kind of trying to set a boundary on enjoying our video and, enjoying our vacation and making videos, right? So we didn't get every place. They were probably kind of on the boring side anyways, but that's what old people do sometimes, you know?
Yeah, we did have something really exciting happen on one of our next stops. We ended up staying in the redwood forest again in the mountains that are right above Santa Cruz, and there's a town up there called Boulder Creek, and we had made reservations at this really pretty RV park, and we went down and drove down into Los Gatos, which is where I have an aunt and uncle that live, and then my cousin who lives actually full-time in Costa Rica with his wife and kids. They happened to be there visiting, so it was pretty cool. We got some family time in and got to reconnect with them. That was pretty awesome.
And then we headed down and we saw all the beaches, like what is that, Santa? Every place is called Santa over here, but it's Santa
Cruz,
Monica,
Monterey.
I'm sure Venice Beach is around there somewhere. trucks, and we went to a campsite that was down by shipping containers in Long Beach.
Yeah, it was crazy. We took some video of it that I think Doug will put on here. There was, I would say, probably millions of shipping containers. It was kind of amazing, actually, and we were just surrounded on that, going over that harbor. See if we can see any of the ships that they talk about. They're sitting out in the bay that are getting unloaded. I'm not sure. There's a lot of containers down there, though. Holy man, it's crazy. You can see those. We went over a big tall bridge and we were just surrounded by trucks, either bringing containers in or taking containers out. It was pretty amazing, and we realized this operation is just going 24/7. So that was pretty interesting. We also could see container ships off in, out in the ocean. They're so big you can't tell if they're coming or going or just sitting there, but there's been some reporting about container ships that are just sitting offshore not being unloaded, but we definitely were seeing containers moving. Not sure what was in them or what wasn't in them, but
probably a whole lot of food in these food shortage crisis, but I'm just being a pessimist,
Yeah.
But then we went down to San Diego and we stayed at what I like to call the Disneyland of RV parks.
Okay, so it's a KOA, so it's the San Diego Metro Koa, and it was in a fantastic location, and the park was awesome. I mean, if you've got kids and you're going to San Diego and you've got an RV, the flies are really bad here, sorry, and but man, this park was awesome. It was really well maintained, super clean. It was packed when we were there because it was 4th of July. And there was a lot of families having big celebrations and camping together. But they had everything. They had a beautiful pool, they had showers, they had a restaurant, they had a train that went around the park and played music and hauled kids around. And I mean, there was kids everywhere on bikes and scooters and things that we've never even seen before. But that was a nice park to stay at. And we had full hookups, which was great.
And we did find a beach that allowed unleashed dogs.
Yep.
It was just totally awesome.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
It was a huge beach. Everybody had their dogs.
She's so overstimulated. Specifically the Coronado Dog Beach, and it was packed. We actually got parking pretty close. We just parked in one of the nearby neighborhoods, and yeah, the dogs had a ball, especially Willow. I'm not sure, the jury's still out on whether or not Zoe even likes the ocean, but Willow had the time of her life.
Oh yeah. And so then our ocean adventures end, and we have beelined it out to eastern Colorado. And so now we find ourselves crossing the mountain passes and entering the high desert, well, this would be the low desert climate.
We're not in Colorado, by the way, we're in California.
Yeah, we're in California, and we are in Borrego Springs, which has been a constant 100 plus for the 4 days that we stayed here. But because we had a swimming pool, we decided to stay an extra day because we know when we go out to Arizona, we're not going to have a swimming pool. So
yeah. And there was hardly anybody here. It's the off season because their summers obviously are so hot. So there was literally, I think we counted 5 other people staying here while we have been here. So we had the pool to ourselves most of the time when we would go. And it's a beautiful campground. I mean, huge campground. They've put a ton of money in this place. It's on a golf course, and they have huge palm trees and just shade trees, and they have a lot of really, really good infrastructure.
we're nearing an end to our video, and we're in Borrego Springs. Why are you laughing?
Because I'm so much shorter than you.
Alright, we're in Borrego Springs, which is like this, I guess it's hopping during the good season, but I guess
we're here during the off season, so
yeah, so we're like one of 6 campers in a campsite that can probably easily hold up to 200 campers. But during this time, we've been having some tractor work being done on our property, And like you guys know, we got the road put in and we had our land graded out where we're going to put our house. All right, so we called up our tractor guy and asked him if he did culverts. And Carrie, you can explain what happened. Well, our tractor guy was putting in our culvert.
So, nicest guy in the world, and he's done a wonderful job for us. Yesterday, unfortunately, his truck that he was bringing the culvert in on got stuck in this problem wash that's on the road coming up to our property. Anybody with a tractor in the neighborhood or a big truck that could come help get him out of this wash and just give him like a little bump. I guess he had dug mostly out.
We're like, Carrie's frantically texting people that live around there. And while we're waiting for that, I guess the culvert installer decided to go to the nearest house and try to get some help to get him out of the ground. Well, anyhow, it appeared that somebody mistaken him as being a trespasser, and he wasn't trespassing. He was just looking for help to get nudged out. But anyhow, in all this confusion, the police were called, and now there's a bunch of police and everything showed up. And the guy's, you know, he's probably walking around in 90-degree weather and nothing's close by. So God bless this guy. We're hoping that he, despite all this stuff that took place, hopefully he comes back and finishes the job. We're imagining he probably will. Yeah. He wasn't having a good day, I'm sure. Yeah, just wanted to tell you we're going to have that culvert installed before we get back, and we're going to be heading back into Arizona today. So this is Borrego Springs. We wanted to show you for a sec. Yeah, so we're leaving today, and this will conclude our vacation videos because we are exiting Colorado is what I like to call it. And we are going back to Arizona, our home state now, and we have a lot of work to do. We probably will put up a video recapping all these states together and let you know what our favorite campsites were, what worked in our modifications in the trailer, stuff like that. You know, it'll be one more video to this vacation, and in the next video you're also going to recognize the campsite that we're at, because it is actually the first campsite that we stayed at around Mesa, Arizona. And
we're going to spend some time with Tyler, the 23-year-old who just recently moved there, and that'll be really good. And then the video after that, we're going to be doing quite a bit of research on our fencing that we're going to get started on first, and then the cistern that needs to go in. We're going to have a company do that. We're not going to do that. We thought we would build a earth bag cistern, but that's going to take too much time, and we need to have water on the property when we're working out there. So we're going to go ahead and have a pretty good sized cistern installed.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, lots of work.
So California's been fun.
Yep.
It's been nice. You can edit that out.
Probably need to edit that out. So California was awesome. We just want to mention about Highway 1, which is the Pacific Coast Highway, and that is the highway that follows the whole, for the most part, it stays on the coast of California. We were driving, and our trailer's only 20 feet, and then we haul it with an FJ Cruiser, Toyota FJ Cruiser, which is also a shorter SUV. And if you've got a big RV and you've got a big long truck, if you're pulling a big trailer, fifth wheel with a dually diesel, or you're driving a big motorhome, you might consider an out if you're going to go down Highway 1. There was places that were absolutely terrifying for me, especially who's terrified of heights, but there's some bridges and some sharp drop-offs, and you're way up, and there's no guardrail, and the turns were, we went around a turn that was like, it was a hairpin turn, but it also was going uphill. I'm like, we're lucky that nothing happened. It was just really hairy.
All right, so we need to conclude this video. We are already past our due time to leave out of this park and get into Arizona. And we hope that you guys enjoyed this video.
Yeah, thanks for watching today. Make sure and subscribe if you want to follow our homesteading journey, and we always appreciate a like if you like the video.
All right, we'll see you guys.
See ya.